Our next guests are here to talk about the plight of members of the County Assembly, or as the Constitution calls them, ward representatives. Hi, we have the chair of the County Assemblies Forum. He is also the Speaker of Elgeyo Marakwet County, Philemon Sabulei, and he's here with Robert Alai, who is the member of the County Assembly representing Kileleshwa ward in Nairobi. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Now, you're here because we want to talk about, what has been a conversation for the last couple of, years, but lately it has been also another big one. This is with regards to the salary of members of the County Assembly. There's been a push, there have been conversations. Yesterday, the Deputy President said something. He said, look, you knew the pay when you were applying for the job. Honorable members, there's been a matter that has, occupied both the County Assemblies Forum and the other faction of MCAs that is led by, among others, Robert Alai. This is a matter of pay and the welfare of the County Assembly members. The last time we had the Speaker here, we mentioned it a bit, and we also had the Treasurer of the County Assemblies Forum who also talked about it. Is it Treasurer or Secretary?
I think Secretary.
He's a Secretary, yes, the MCA for Ngara Ward. Robert,
Yes.
we haven't discussed this with you, but you are among the members who converged at KICC some weeks back, and you did not even want to hear a PS coming to visit and talk to you.
No, it was very hard work. It was not. It was something which we thought. We thought in a very hurried manner, and the incident of the PS being ejected from the meeting. The meeting is something which I didn't agree with. You saw me almost being manhandled when I told them that you cannot do this thing. The worst you could have done to the PS is to let us sit there, listen to you, at least leave out with a message or with a petition of what you are trying to say. But that's water under the bridge. Our plea, in fact, salary is the list of the demands of the MCAs, including the speakers who are also the MCAs, one of the biggest demands we are making is that can you please separate the accounts of the executive and the county assemblies? When Kenyans passed the 2010 constitution, we created 95 governments, but we thought we created 48 governments. We created 47 county governments and one national government. The national government, the county governments are also divided into speaker and the governor are almost equal strength. Speaker controlling the county assemblies, which are oversighting the executive, and the governor controlling the executive side, which is doing the daily management and the running of the counties. But we didn't separate the accounts. Today, if I sit in PAC or PIC or in the key oversight committees, and I'm very strict on the governor not to be wasting government funds or looting or even letting others not get as value for money, the governor will probably not sign even my salary because it's still the CEC finance who still has to sign my salary every month. It's still the governor who is going to ensure that the allocation of the county assemblies is done. Some might argue that it cannot happen, but it happens. They'll just tell you that the control of budget has not signed for your benefits, your salaries, even for your retreats. You'll get that challenge with the governor. So why don't we separate these accounts from the exchequer? We say that this is allocation for the county assembly. The speaker would be would be accountable for it. This is for the executive. The other thing is that the remuneration grades at the counties, can we have a special unit, and we can still have it within the Parliamentary Service Commission, ensuring that we have the grades harmonized. If you go and you're oversighting the executive where the CECs are earning 450,000 and you earn a salary of 86,000, you see, it is very easy to silence a good number of you.
Why?
They'll if 86,000 and you go and take a loan, you'll probably be going off with 20, 30,000.
Sawa.
Then these people with money, they are kings. because they control a huge budget. It's earning 450,000. It's controlling a huge budget, probably in transport, trade, markets, things like that. They'll be easily flaunting 50,000, 100,000, and those committees will do nothing.
To who? So you're saying that it will be easy for a member of the county assembly to be bribed?
Yes, because first,
on account of how much he's earning.
Yes, because you earn, and this is another argument. The other argument you are bringing, that let's not have one size fits all. Let's not all county assembly members of county assemblies earn the same salary, because some are in cities, some are in risky zones, some are in ASAL areas. Let's have a grade. Let's grade them according to what they have. If you give me rent for my office as a ward rep, 18,000 to pay in Kileleshwa, I might not get a place to rent with that much. But if you give the same amount to somebody in Trans Nzoia, 3,000 shillings might be too much for them. So can we please grade these things? But if you give somebody again in Marsabit or parts of Mandera where there's a bit of ethnic clashes, you see, it is risky. You might have to give him or her more to be able to sustain the office. So we are arguing that, can we review the counties, per county, the same way the UN does, for their own staff and offices, and say
hardship areas
and
Okay.
Yes.
We heard from the SRC
Speaker.
Before that, Mr. Speaker, sir. We heard the reasons they were giving as to why this was not possible at the time. In fact, they removed quite a number of allowances across board, right? And they said that this is what we are going to be able to do for ward representatives. Or rather, according to you, was that a sufficient explanation that came from SRC in terms of how they were now, capping these payments?
Yes, we have had this engagement with SRC for quite some time now. And I remember in the month of December last year, that's when we came into office as County Assembly Forum. And one of the first thing that we did as a body is to have an engagement with SRC, because we also wanted to reason with them to know what is the basis of the current salaries of members of county assemblies. Why was there a reduction from 165 that was there in 2022 to now what is there to 86? That is being the basic salary. And they gave a number of reasons. But one thing that is clear, and which of course they have not been able to give an account of, is in any government, in any lawful environment, you can never reduce salaries of any cadres, even if they are coming in for a new term, because the argument is that this is a new term, it's a new office, it's a new contract. That's one. Two, when you look at the job, grading of members of county assemblies, if you were to use the parameters that SRC normally uses for all other officers, be it public or even state officers, you will come to a very strong conclusion that there is no justification, either scientific or otherwise, that will bring a member of county assembly to 86,000 pay, given that the functions and the mandates of members of county assembly are the same as those of a member of National Assembly or Senate or women rep. Okay,
if I can jump in. So what it was is there was 165,000 shillings, which was the basic...
it was a gross.
165,000 shillings. SRC came in and they, applied their measures. It came down to 144,000 gross. So that is where now, after all deductions and whatever, that's how we get to 86,000. We also saw that what you're saying now, the member of county assembly essentially is akin to it connects with the governor the way the member of parliament connects with the president. In this way, the formula that they was given was that 43% essentially of what the president earns is what a member of parliament earns, and we're saying the same thing should be applied to member of county assembly against the governor.
Absolutely.
How does that formula make sense, or does it just happen to be?
Now, there's a number of ways in which we wanted to just find fairness in how the national government and the county governments, state officers are treated. In the national government, a member of National Assembly earns, actually it's 46% of what the president earned. And what we thought is that being a replica of the devolved unit, then an MCA should earn 46% of what the governor earns. And that should have brought the salary of an MCA to around 350,000. And you look at this in this perspective, that the role that the president does at the national level is the same role that the governor does at the local level, because governor is the head of the government. He heads the executive. On the other hand, we have the county assembly, which is now the legislative house. What members of county assembly does, being legislative, being oversight and representation, budget making processes, and all those other parliamentary duties are done at the county level. And what we wanted to propose to SRC is to look at it in that manner, as a manner of bringing equality and fairness in treatment of members of county assemblies at the county level.
There's something that comes to mind. I'm not clear, so I am seeking clarification. When matters of remuneration are discussed with SRC, we assume that when they lowered the gross, it was in response to what may be considered the reality of our economic situation. But is it possible to have discussions around two things? One, when the current economic situation gets better and the constraints we have are no longer there, is it possible to talk and agree on a certain amount that one can then be paid? My thoughts. Yeah. Secondly, is it also possible to peg what it is? Because they will say there is no money. Yes, but then counties have this unique thing, there's something called own source revenue. Is it also possible to consider that if the county assembly ensure through legislation and other means that the own source revenue of their respective counties gets to a certain level, that in so doing, they should benefit directly from it, and whatever it is they earn should also be increased? I'm asking this because when I look at members of parliament, what their pay is pegged to is what they decide they want to pay themselves. Okay? It very rarely has anything to do with the economic situation.
Or SRC.
And SRC comes in, they'll threaten SRC. Okay? MCAs can't threaten SRC, at least not as effectively as the members of parliament. So my question is it possible to have such discussions so that it isn't just we don't have money, we can't pay you? The what-if question, is it possible?
One, on the issue of the economy, I think all of us are cognizant of the fact that our economy is not doing very well. And even when we agitate for better pay and resources in the county assemblies, we are not blind to that fact. But look at this. The Treasury has allocated 8 billion to the government through now SRC to review the salaries of the state and public officers at the moment. So already in the budget, there's an allocation of money that is geared towards reviewing the the salaries of the state officers and the public officers. What we are asking as county assemblies is that we do not want the national government to commit more than what they have already committed. From what is available, they should consider the need to have a fair and decent allocation of that money to the county assemblies. Of all that money, the only amount that goes to the county assemblies, 47 county assemblies with 2,300 members, is around 350 million. Now, the point is, that is not even, it's not even 1% of the total amount of money that was allocated for salary review. So as we understand the issue of the economies, the reason why there is reluctance in listening to the plea of the MCAs is not because of the money. It is because perhaps people think that MCAs are not deserving. People think that this being the local leaders, they don't appreciate the role that they play in the local level. They don't appreciate the need and the role of county assemblies in strengthening the evolution in this country. And I will tell you, more than the issue of the pay, the discussion that is happening in this country with respect to county assemblies is a discussion of the future of the county governments. It is the discussion about the future and the strength of devolution. And I will confidently say that if the pleas of the MCAs are not considered, not even in its entirety, due consideration, I have a feeling that the continuity and the strengthening of devolution in this country is going to be weakened. The oversight is going to be weakened. Even the issue of representation in the local level is going to be weakened. Why? Because we have a cadre of state officers who are so subservient to even staff, civil servants in the counties. They no longer command any respect. They cannot meet their own personal needs, leave alone the ones for the community. And for such, we continue to weaken the role of members of county assemblies and the legislative bodies in our county governments. Two, on the issue of the local revenue, the structure that is there at the moment is that once you have the local revenue, the same amount goes back again to the revenue fund for reallocation. So even if we collect as much as counties, and the figures has been going higher year in, year out, that cannot change the pay of an MCA because that commission will still limit and guide on what each member is going to be paid. So irrespective of whether you collect less or more, your salaries will still be paid by SRC.
Brother Speaker,
as is indicated.
There's something that this current government has shown the public. Whether they're seeing it or not, I don't know. These fellows like changing laws. Any opportunity. It's like if it's inconvenient, change it.
It will do it.
If it's not doing what it's supposed to do, revamp it. Which means change it. Now, why is it that what you're saying cannot be changed? What prevents what you're saying as being cast in concrete cannot be changed? Who says that allocation must remain the way it is, and that once it goes to that particular fund, it goes and sits and does whatever it does there? Where is it written that that cannot be changed? Where? If we change all these laws, we've been having
the
this.
Constitution, yeah.
Yes, we've been having this huge debate about the finance bill, and all. This period we've been in has been about change.
That is true.
So why can't that be changed?
Yeah, City, you are now thinking outside the box. And I think with that open mind, it is very possible. But every time we talk of anything dealing with resources, the only thing that stops that argument is that, the law, the regulations, the PFM Act, and now the SRC in this case.
Okay, let's talk a little honestly about these matters, okay? Is there an MCA who's content to be an MCA all his life?
No, there can be.
Maybe.
There are some, but
and should not be taken to be a bad thing to be content to be an MCA.
No, it isn't. But it's not from the MCA's point of view that I'm speaking. I'm speaking from the point of view of the MP. Who is a direct threat to a member of parliament?
MCA.
Of county assembly.
Precisely. Now, if they have the muscle in determining how certain things happen, this is a budget-making parliament. Do you really think that they are going to allow MCAs to earn that amount of money? Because from the perspective of an MPA, essentially you've armed somebody who is likely to be a very serious competitor and someone who has an advantage over you. You are in Nairobi, they are at Mashinani. So, how do you fight this battle? Because the battle we're talking about here, it isn't at county level. County level has its issues. It's at a different level. The people who ensure that monies are allocated and who it gets to and what happens where. Secondly, when you're disempowered, as you correctly put it, it means someone is easier to bribe when they do not have.
I do not buy that argument. I heard that argument from 15 years ago, when you said, let's increase the salary for members of parliament so they are not bribed. Let's increase the salaries of the people at Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission so they are not bribed. Remember, Justice Ringara's pay was increased. Let us increase these things. And even today, members of parliament earn so much more than they used to earn 15 years ago.
Yes.
Do we hear allegations of bribery in parliament?
They are more difficult to bribe. These guys are easier to bribe.
They are not more difficult to bribe. They're just more expensive to bribe.
But that expense is the difficulty.
It is not difficult.
In fact, I think, Eric, we are missing the point because, the MCAs are more expensive to bribe. The MCAs are generally more expensive. You've heard of 10,000 in parliament. I'm very sure if you ask my speaker here, he'll tell you that it's very hard with them. What is happening now, in fact, the government is spending more. Because what is happening now is people are having more bonding trips, more retreats. You see?
Yes.
So it's more expensive to the exchequer. It's not about bribery. It's about you're sustaining these counties. The expenditures now are very high. And why is it high? Because the MCAs, every day you wake up in the office, you're struggling. You give them, I think like car car reimbursement.
And you want to tell me, Robert, that if we increase because right now your pay is gross 144,000, right? Plus, and now that has been increased to 154,000 by the proposal by the SRC from July. Plus a sitting allowance for one committee, 62,000.
No, not there's no 62,000 one committee.
Sitting allowance for a committee.
That is a ceiling.
Yeah,
You
ceiling.
cannot spend more than 62,000 on any MCA per month.
Per month.
Yes.
And that is
on
inclusive
sittings.
of
So you earn more than 154,000 shillings if we include now the committee sitting allowance, right? Let's double this. Are you telling me that the county executive is now going to sponsor less trips?
Let me tell you.
Because now the MCA is earning more. Now we don't need to work with the county assembly.
It is now the government to say that you can have, because now it's unlimited. Every time you try to control that, they tell you, but how much do you earn?
No, my argument is, your argument here is, because of how much the MCA is paid, it becomes easier for them to be bribed. No, they are
not easier to
They
be bribed.
are subservient, that's what the speaker said,
Yes.
subservient to the executive,
Yes.
because of how much they earn. I am asking, are you saying that we've paid MCAs across the country 500,000 shillings,
Yes.
they will be less subservient?
Yes.
That their conscience now will kick in?
No, it
is not about the money anymore. Suddenly they'll get a conscience.
No. Eric, listen. The pay in relation to other cadres, because now the MCAs earn less than the deputy directors at the county level. You are coming to oversight a director
Yes.
who is earning more than you.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
First, the only thing you have there, the leverage you have ever there is the Jina Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
That's the only thing you have over
No, the leverage that you have is the
You have
law.
more. You have more.
Let me tell you.
The law
Unless
that
we're
gives
trying
you
to
the
say-
authority to
unless-
oversight this person, that
Unless
is the
you're trying
leverage
to
that you
say-
have.
Unless you're trying to say, Robert, that that law then,
Yes.
in the way it is constituted,
Yes.
holds no power for you to then be able to do these things that you're clamoring for.
You have the law, and my speaker can tell you here that you have the law on your
But
side.
it's just
It's just the law. How many Kenyans?
So this
you know, even
this
at the-
director will have so much kiburi. Nini wataka?
Yeah.
Wataka
But,
lunch.
basically, some of them.
Umekauka
let
lips, haujakula.
me tell you a situation. Like, we have a governor who is now. We have a MCA who is now a governor.
Yeah.
And you people, even the media, know what was happening in Nairobi in the last assembly. Even a good number of these directors and county executive, executive committee members would not even honor park sitting. Now we are dealing with 24 Auditor General reports because people refuse to honor. Alikuwa anambia unataka nini? Hatukuji. Utafanya nini?
Is that a function of pay?
No, because first he has ensured that 3 or 4 of you
Are in his
have been
pocket?
silenced. And because they hold, if the chairman doesn't call the meetings, what would you do? Because the chairman is the only, the members cannot collect signatures and say that we are calling a PAC meeting or we are calling a committee meeting. It is the chairman's. They need to call the meeting, and I'm sure the chairman is in his pocket.
There's something that you started with, Robert, which was pushing for separation of accounts. That the county executive controls the accounts that also facilitate the operations of the county assembly. Was this an oversight in law? How does it happen at the national level?
Maybe my speaker.
Well,
here
speaker.
Well, the issue of financial autonomy or separation of accounts, as you said, is very important as part of oversight policies in the counties. And as Robert explained earlier, today, expenditures of the county assembly can only be realized through approval by the county executive and the treasury. What that makes is that the county executive can always derail or even refuse or even show clear reluctance in approving funds that goes to the county assemblies. What we are asking for as county assemblies is that the county assemblies have their own budgets. They are audited independently by the Auditor General, and as such, being an institution that has its own accounting officer, that is the clerk, there will be no reason why another institution, being another arm of government, should oversight or in any way play a role in the financial processes. So it's about the financial processes. What will happen going forward is that the controller of budget should be the only one that goes through the budgets of the county assemblies and approve every month the expenditures of the county assembly.
Does the
Now,
county assembly,
yes.
when we are passing the county budget, does the county assembly have a vote? Does the county assembly have a figure that this
Yes.
is going to the county
The
assembly?
county assembly have independent, budgets and ceilings. And the ceilings of the county assemblies are determined by CRA, that is Commissioner of Revenue Allocation, and it is passed by Senate and National Assembly through CARA, that is
Yes.
County Allocation and Revenue Allocation. So the point is, the county assemblies have their own distinct budgets, only that the processes of them getting their money must pass through the CEC in charge of finance at the county executive.
Okay.
Now, what we've been asking as county assemblies is that for that independence to occur, then the issue of us being, placed at the process of the county executive should not be there. And we have every reason to believe that that has, in many ways, compromised the independence of the county assemblies. We've had instances where a county assembly fails to receive funds for 5 months or so because the county executive and the CC has decided that cannot be that cannot happen. Machakos County Assembly is a good example in the previous term, not now. And even though we don't have outcry at the moment, there's always deliberate delay. And sometimes you delay benefits for an officer for a week or
Even
2
water.
or 3. It's never a good thing. It slows the performance of that institution.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the issues we are working with the National Assembly and the Senate. And I'm happy to note that there's already a proposed amendment in the National Assembly of PFM Act to bring that into realization. Yeah.
Okay. The general I don't know situation now is that funds are hard to come by for Kenya as a country.
Is it?
That's what, if you heard what I said the general
So, Speaker, you said the economy is not doing so well.
it's not doing so well.
You're the
It's
one who
almost
said
like a
that.
buzzword
Which I
now.
don't believe,
We're in the doldrums. Things are not really, flowing the way they would or they should. The Deputy President said yesterday that there's no money. Anybody who's coming to work now, if you can come to my office to work for free, you can come to work for free. But no matter, even if you do what you want to do, they'll not be able to get. It's like you won't be able to get anything out of a stone. Robert, I can already see that you don't believe this story, and that you feel that there's something that can actually be done if they want to. But the general feeling or the general message now is that everybody is going to have to cut their coat according to their cloth, because there's little cloth, if any, at all.
No,
Or you wear your old coat.
I also believe that we have to reduce our expenditures, especially at the government, the national and the devolved units. But I also believe that we have to, if we are going to send a message that the cash is very hard to come by, then you have to be consistent, because you cannot be employing 50 CSS and saying that from 27 and saying that cash is hard to come by. You cannot be proposing to increase the salary of the president, the deputy president, like they did, in June, and say cash is hard to come by. We cannot be having one of the biggest convoys you see. It's increasing by the day for the president, and you see the state officials, even the grandiose. You see the president or the leadership. Is not being strict.
It's called conspicuous consumption.
Yes, you're seeing government officials. You can be wealthy as a government official, but trying to show it off and put it on the face of people who are struggling and poor, and we used to even have standard of vehicles we are supposed to use in the government. Now it seems it has been thrown off the window, and everybody can buy a Lexus, and you can buy the most expensive Mercedes Benz, and show it off to the poor people. Some of them who can't even have a meal a day. We have primary schools in Nairobi. Some kids go to school because in school is where they can get a meal.
Sure.
Because there's free lunch there. You see, so I think that if you're going to have a consistent message that pesa iko, let it be kwamba haiko.
So so what you're saying is that it's okay if there's no money.
Yes, but
so even
but
we as MCAs who are asking for an increase in our salary, if you're telling us that there's no money, then show us there's no money in everything.
Yes, in your behavior, in your allocation.
Then you would be okay with staying with the money that currently earning?
We'll understand.
Okay.
We might not be okay, but we'll understand that government, in Chietu, in a struggle. But now you have a situation that you're told that there's no money, but the president is doubling the size of the assistant ministers or the CSS and telling you that he's going to give them mortgage of 30 million what for each, going to translate to 1.75 billion. The kind of opulence is being shown. You see the two, if just the issue of Amara has brought it to focus. If you go to that compound today, you'll find the 3 cabinet secretaries who bought 150 million shilling houses.
They're actually currently at 120 million.
If you speak to Saiton, they say they don't sell below 150. So Eric,
and that's the opulence that now you want to translate down to those who have elected you at the ward level.
In fact, we are saving.
You want more money so that now you can come and show us.
It is. I told you. If you ask the MCAs on the priority list on the demands they're making, the 12 of them, you see, the least concern is on the salaries. Facilitate me as a ward rep. You give the MP 1.5 million a month. Why don't you even give me, because averagely we have 5 wards in a constituency. Why don't you even give me 300,000? Because you tell me to employ 3 employees, you give me 109,000. You see, there's a minimum wage requirement. What is the minimum wage requirement? But why, if you give me that amount, I'm going to pay below the minimum wage requirement? The same government. So am I going to go against the government regulations as a government official? You see, why don't we harmonize this? This is why I'm saying that, the discussion here, SRC might not understand what you're saying because they are not in our shoes. You see, you tell me to have an office in Kileleshwa for 18,000, but we don't have government land. So these people, what is the going commercial rate? Why don't you review the commercial rate? Then you say that in Kileleshwa we'll allocate this. In this other place, in Umoja, this other place, you don't have to give one size fits all for everybody. You see, you review and you say that we are going to give you as per what has been reviewed to be the going commercial rate for your area.
So are you saying therefore, Mheshimiwa, that if you say, for instance, allocated an office,
yes,
you had members of staff who were paid, the ones who have been allocated to you, you were given a housing allowance that is more than probably what you're being given now, and you are given all these benefits that come with the office, then the push for more pay would not be there.
No, you see, probably because the push for more pay. Let me tell you, in the current arrangement, the MCA earns less than the CDF manager. The CDF manager earns not less than 212,000 a month from the 1.5 million allocation for the MCs to
gross or net?
Yes, gross.
Okay.
Yeah. So why are you going to tell the MCAs that even if they go into the arrangement, leave alone the pay? Let's go to the WDF. Today I have Governor Sakaja.
What is that? What on
WDF?
What development
Fund.
So if you say, why don't you anchor it in law that even if I'm friendly or not friendly to the governor, development will come to my ward? You give a percentage allocation, you see, of development to a ward, so that I don't have to be friend to the governor for me to get the development. A good number of the MCAs who are trying to be strict and are sitting in committees like PAC, if you try to be strict on the county expenditures, what the governor will just do to ensure that amezima ile contractor na kujenga kwako alipwi sasa.
And that's it.
That's what you do. Wambora survived. If you go to the people of Embu, to the county assemblies of Embu, you talk to the MCAs who survived under Wambora, they'll tell you, ask Meru why they are silent now. Ask Meru why they are silent now. Because the governor discovered that she has power. Now, probably amenyonga hiyo power, the salary or the ward development. And you can't do anything. You now have to suck up to her.
for something that is constitutionally yours.
Yes.
So
But you know the development is not pegged in law. So sio lazima kupatie. You can give 500 million to Njiru Ward, but give Kileleshwa nothing. And
you will not ask her.
yes, and the law does not force him to give you
the money.
Equal allocation. Yeah.
These conversations, you've had them at County Assemblies Forum with SRC many times, right? And I'm sure when you're going to have conversations with them, you break down the issues. There's the issue of direct pay, there's the issue of allowances, there's the issue of the facilitation. There are all these other issues. What response do you get from them? Do they understand? Of course they understand. But do they understand it the way you understand it?
So first, before I deal with that, is that on the issue of the availability of funds, because I think that's now the biggest issue, that there's no money, the country is struggling. And as I said earlier, all of us appreciate that particular fact. But our glamour at the moment is based in what the government has already set aside for review of salaries.
Yeah.
We are not telling them that to review from 80 billion to 100 billion. We are saying within this 80 billion that has been set aside, can we then have a decent portion of it to remunerate and support and resource county assemblies and members of county assemblies? So it is no longer the issue of whether the funds are there. It is a fact of saying, do we as a country appreciate the role that member of county assembly play? Do we appreciate that also wards and their ward offices has to be resourced, have proper staffing, good numbers, good capacity for them to help member of county assembly discharge his roles in the wards? So that's a fact that must be very clear. We have resources which have been set for salary review, but there is a bit of reluctance in appreciating that a decent figure of it should support members of county assemblies. 1, 2, on the issue of SRC and county assemblies engagement, as I said earlier, we've engaged with SRC not once, not twice, but severally. Initially, they told us that they didn't get a proper job evaluation report from the county assemblies for them to appreciate how job grading will be, and also to guide on how to allocate resources and salaries to MCAs. And what we did as County Assembly Forum is that working with our stakeholders and another institutions, we came up with a thorough evaluation of job description of a member of County Assembly, a very big document. That document we shared with the Secretariat of SRC, we shared with the commissioners, we had a discussion around table, we went through all those areas, quite a voluminous document, and they were very happy that for once they appreciated. And I could see a new dawn, even in the manner in which they are appreciating the difficulties and the challenges that members of county assemblies go through in discharge of their responsibilities. They could even see huge disparities in how we treat members of county assemblies and how members of National Assembly are treated. They were able to appreciate for once that where we have placed members of county assemblies, even in the counties, in relation to other cadres and administrative positions, was so low and demeaning that they then said that they will try as much as they could to make sure that they bridge that gap and bring a redress to that particular problem. So we were very happy, in fact, with all our members that we think we are making progress. We think that SRC has not been supported before by ourselves to understand what we do. But shock to us is that even as we engage them, every proposal that came from SRC continued to remain the same as it has been before. And that's why around 1 month or two ago, members of county assemblies felt agitated. They were getting impatient because we are engaging an institution that is listening, and I must confirm that they are listening, but does not do anything in relation to what we are saying. We have done a number of memorandums, I think around 4, and I have them here, to SRC. And they appreciate that they are factual. They're factual because they are based on true parameters on what members of county assemblies do. So as to the reason why SRC continue to behave as they have always done, even with the engagement, documentation, evaluation that we've done before, it really defeats logic, and I do not understand why. Because again, as I said earlier, on matters of resources, we are saying let's use resources that are currently available for job and the salary review, and not any other more. And county assemblies, as even said before, that we are willing, as City Muga said, to have a portion of the county resources that is already allocated to us as part of bridging areas that we think SRC should consider. And this is the reason. One, SRC may not understand really what areas of capacity building and resource that MCA may want.
Yeah.
When we talk about the basic pay, we are saying that perhaps there are other areas in which resources have been placed, yet they are not as urgently needed or so much important and needed as that of a pay. They may not appreciate the need to support the ward offices and the staff in the ward offices.
Yeah.
They may not appreciate the need to strengthen the committees. Why? Because it is in committees that the work is populated to the plenary.
Yeah.
So we were telling them that as much as resources are minimal, they can also give us a space to look at the resources at the county level and be able to bridge with that we can get through the salary review that is currently ongoing.
If the SRC actually understand, you can't listen for as long as they were listening and not understand, given their mandate and role, and given the role they have played, even at the inception of county governments and county assemblies, the effort they put in to try and ensure that these assemblies understood the processes of lawmaking, all these things that have to do with their day-to-day function. I would say you are right when you say they listen, but I would also say they understand. So the question is, where do you think the influence comes in where this understanding is not actualized? Beyond saying that there isn't enough money. Who benefits from the county assemblies not being empowered? I think that's the word, empowered. Who benefits?
I think, like you said earlier, I think the MPs are key beneficiaries in this. But I also think that the governors, and this is, when I came into the seat, one of the biggest conversations we had here with the team from Spice FM and the listeners is that the fact that the seat of the MCA is not properly recognized and appreciated. And if we were to recognize this seat, I think probably we would not need the National Assembly. We would only need the Senate and the seat. If you give development to the wards and then you have the oversight with for the national, I'm seeing City Muga. The fight I'm starting is wondering if I will win it. But some of these conversations,
It's important to have them. Raise it.
When we say that the ward reps, we don't give them proper recognition, appreciation, because they might, one is a kiburi and they become MPs. If I am an MP who believes that I'm working, why should I fear somebody else taking my seat? And is it a personal seat? We've had, do we want to serve this country, or we want to ensure that we have employment on this seat forever? It is service to wananchi. If I'm not delivering service to you people, you can as well replace me. And even there's a recall clause which we have ensured that it doesn't work. Well, and I wish that it worked, because it would put us on the toes, so that ground inakuanga inakuchangamsha all the time. I think that the conversation we need to have to appreciate the role of the MCAs is that let's facilitate these people. Let's facilitate all of us. Let's ensure that the MCAs have the proper facilitation to carry out their employment. And also, some of them, like the Utawala, not Utawala, Miango. We've had one MCA serving since 1997. Honorable Kados. We call him Mugabe because he has been there for so long. But still, if you go to that county today,
To the ward.
no, the county, Nairobi City Hall, if you are new, you will be told it's a hole. You'll be looking for how it operates. Now, because what the law says is not how it actually operates. You see? So they'll tell you that it will take a newcomer a very long time to understand the city, because they think they are not systems. In some departments, you still find people being paid in cash. There's no ERP, which is county, people don't believe in these processes and systems and solutions which the ICT can deliver. Wakiona computer, they see some departments, they see it like it will hamper their work, in a way. But in this county today, Nairobi City County, we don't know who is collecting revenue. We don't know the owner of the company. We don't know who contracted it. We don't know who has admin rights in this county, the biggest county in the country.
What do you mean we don't know who's collecting it?
We don't know who runs Nairobi Pay. The governor tried to go to Manyani prison to go at endesha na NIS. I said, NIS jamani, see, NIS are Kenyans. They are just our organ. They provide for us security. You know, these conversations, when we try to complete, this Nairobi County needed not even a single cent from the exchequer. But because the government is not listening, if you want to increase revenues from the counties today, please listen to the MCAs and talk to the MCAs and empower them. Because they know all the holes.
They know where the holes
They
are.
know where all the shimos are and who is and they will help you, because I'm telling you 99% of them are not into that shimo.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today and for raising this conversation. We'll keep having these conversations. It's important because our devolution must work.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.